45.6%, 2019, 46.7%, and 2020, 49.6%. For marks, in 2018, it was 36.36%, and in 2019, 35.8%. And this year, it's 26.2%. For science, the sciences, 2018, it was 39.5%, 2019, 37.4%, and this year is 55.8%. And SES, the last but not the least, is 53.3% in 2018, 2019, 60.9%, and in 2020, 64.3%. Now the next table is showing us the number of students with aggregate 6 by school and gender. We have a total number of 26 students with aggregate 6 this year. And these are the schools they are coming from. St. Teresa's Upper Basic, 1 male, 4 female. So they have a total of 5 with aggregate 6. Now's Comprehensive Upper Basic, 3 females, a total of 3 students, three students, no male. St. Charles Ruanga Upper Basic School, 3 male and no female, a total of 3 students. ABC Upper Basic, 2 males and no female, a total of 2 students. Presentation of Mary Basic Cycle School, they have 1 male and 1 female and a total of 2 students. That's hard to be exact. Who have aggregate 6. Latirkunda Upper Basic, 1 male, 1 female, a total of 2. Redeemers International Upper Basic School, 1 female, total of 1 student. Sukutawanzi Upper Basic School, 1 female, total 1. Star Preparatory Upper Basic School, 1 male, total 1. St. Joseph's Basic Cycle School, 1 female, a total of 1. Yunus Upper Basic School, 1 female, total of 1. Bara Upper Basic School, 1 female, which is a total of 1. Gambia Methodist Academy, 1 female, total 1. Mindao Upper Basic School, 1 male, a total of 1 student. St. Peter's Upper Basic, 1 female, a total of 1. So overall, out of the 26, 16 students are male with aggregate 6, are female with aggregate 6, and 10 male with aggregate 6. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you. I now hand over to the chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Sohna Kerr, for that presentation. And congratulations to the females. Now,
good afternoon to you all. My part of the presentation is to show the gains that we have over the last 3 examinations. That is to look at 2018, 2019, and 2020 to compare the percentage gains that we have over time. First of all, by regions, nationally we have 24.2% passes gain over 2018 and 13.7% passes gain over 2019. Means even though we have the pandemic and the numbers are also higher, percentage-wise we are able to increase the number of passes that we have by 13.7% over 2019. That's very, very significant.
I think we need to.
So by region, as you can see, it varies, ranging from 2018, 40.6% by region 4, and 11.6% by region 6. And in 2019, over 2019, we still have 33% gain by region 6 and a 2.6% drop by region 1. Those were the range over by region. By subject, as you can see, we have significant increase in English over 2018 by 8.8% and 6.2% in 2019, over 2019. In science, we have 41.3% over 2018 and 49.2% over 2019. That's very, very significant compared. This is over period, and just between 2019 and 2020, we have 49.2% increase. In SES, we have 20.6% increase over 2018 and 5.6% increase over 2019. So since the trends are showing that over the period, we are improving as to the number of the percentage passes that we have by subject also, except for mathematics where we have a decline by 27.2% and over 2019 and 26.8% over 2019. By gender, which is also very encouraging as stated by Sohna, by male, we have about 23.7% increase over 2018, and by female, we have 25% increase over 2018, which was very significant. So you can see that what we call diminishing return, that appears over 2019, 2020 over 2019. For male, we have 6.8% increase in terms of number of passes that we have, and for female, we have 4% increase. So overall, by region, by subject, by gender, we've seen significant increases in all categories, which is very significant that we need to recognize as a country and as a sector that we are growing with the type of education system that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fatou, for that analysis. And we can see over the years we've been improving. As you rightly observed, the only subject we saw a decline is mathematics. And we've taken note. Now, I have the honor to allow the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Louis Moses, to give us the overall results. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, when the ministry took this difficult decision to ensure that the Gabeke examination has to happen, many critics were opposed to the idea from the health point of view, as well as the preparations. But as educationalists, we know what we are doing. And I think the figures are spoken. Yes, I now have the singular honor to allow you give the overall results of the GAPETE 2020.
Thank you very much, my colleague.
Can you allow?
Thank you very much, my colleague, Kerr. Good afternoon, my colleague deputy permanent secretaries, my colleagues directors present here, my colleagues, the communication unit from their head, and my dearest friends from the media fraternity. I want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you this afternoon to this very important occasion for the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. Like my colleague have said, we will recall that in March the 17th, schools were declared closed, among other places. As a result, our students were out of school, and it became a growing concern at MOPSI for the students who were expected to sit to exams for them to be able to transit to another level. As a result, what the sector did was to quickly mobilize and put on online learning through different media, the TV, the radio, and other social platforms. As my colleague have said, it was challenging for the sector to call back the students to resume for remedial classes, for them to be able to sit to the grade 9 exams and transit to the other level. However, because the ministry is committed and concerned about the welfare of its student population, we were convinced that it was necessary to engage parents and the society at large for them to allow their students to return to school. The schools were reopened and the students went in, and the classes started with the total commitment of the teachers, the students themselves, more importantly, and all the other stakeholders. Everybody participated to ensure that these students were provided with those remedial classes. Today we are here to celebrate what did that difficult moment has done for these young people who were out of school and who might not have had the opportunity to be sent to school if we had not taken that difficult decision. Like my colleagues have said, overall, we had a student population of 23,039 that sat to the exams. And out of that number, 10,083 of them are males, and 12,956 of them are females. I wouldn't try to go over what my colleagues have said, but we have seen that even from that bit, we had more female students than male students. And that has even shown throughout, even during their performance, as we have been shown by the presentations that were done and also the analysis that was shared with us here. I want to give you in brief the overall performance of the students across the country against last year. Okay? If you check in 2019, those who had less than or equals to aggregate 6 were 21 in number in 2019. In 2020, we have 26 of them. And their schools were just read to you by my colleague, Director of Planning. That has shown an increase over what we saw. Those who also had less than or equals to aggregate 7, we had 47 in 2019 and 51 in 2020. However, those who had less than or equals to aggregates 8, in 2019 we have 104, and in 2020 we had 92. It shows a decrease of 0.1. But what is important is, as a sector, as a ministry, we are not after the few. What we are looking at is the general good. We are after the inclusiveness, the overall performance of the students. For us, it's not only a segment, it is not only a set of people that is important for us. For us, it's every child that goes to school that is important to us. And overall, we have more students this year who have passed the Gabeki exams than we had before. I also want to inform you that I'm sure you are aware that exams, when they are conducted, some are found to be committing malpractices. And I want to give you that data of students who have been found on malpractices. And what that means, their results are withheld for now. We have 140 candidates who have been suspected to have been involved in malpractices. We also have some schools whose results are withheld. It is important that we share this with you. There are some schools whose results have been withheld by WEC for one reason or the other. And unless they fulfill that examination requirement, their results will not be released. And you have a couple of those schools, about 13 of those schools have had their results withheld. So by and large, we have an overall performance of about 3% increase in the overall performance over last year. Like we've seen, all the core subjects, the students have done extremely well this year compared to last year, with the exception of mathematics. This, I want to tell you, it is not only peculiar to Gambia. It is across the member states. Last week, the member states spent a week discussing this kind of situation where students' comprehension of the questions is limited based on perhaps the way the questions are set. So it's not a peculiar situation to the Gambia alone. It's across the member states that sit to this work. So my colleagues from the media, my colleagues directors, the performance really is something that is encouraging, because we all know that one, these students were sitting to these exams with a lot of psychological effects. Two, they were also sitting on these exams, sitting to these exams with a lot of pressure, social pressure. All of these are contributing factors. In fact, when some of us had the time to go out, I remember visiting a school and I asked, what is the ratio of attendance? And somebody said the child was asked to stay at home by the parents to see what happens the first day of the exams. So all of these are contributing factors to this kind of performance. It is just not because of COVID. But the good thing is, we as a sector, we were determined and we remain committed to ensure that we provide the required educational background and environment to every school-going child in this country. And our resolve is to continue that and make sure that we produce the citizens that this country would look onto come years in the future. Having said that, my dear colleagues at the ministry, my friends from the media, I want to use this opportunity to thank my regional directors, my office directors, my gallant teachers, my parents, willing parents that let their students resume, and more importantly, of course, my darling students who had resolved themselves to sit into the exams and doing their very best. And today they have not only made themselves proud, but they made all of us today proud under the circumstances in which they sat to the exams. I want to appreciate all of them. I want to appreciate every stakeholder, our development partners, our colleagues in other sectors who collaborated with us, and everybody that played a role. Of course, government for giving us the permission to open and even encouraging us in the process. Everybody is appreciated. We want to commend them. We want to thank them. And we want to thank everybody that participated in that conduct of the exams. I wish all of you and my students the best of luck in their next levels in their academical pursuit. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, PS, for giving the overall results and for reiterating our resolve to produce the caliber of citizens that the whole country and the whole world would look onto. I do agree with you that this is a special class, a class that against all odds we are able to come out with these results. We are able to make the ministry, their parents, and the country at large proud. I happen to be privileged to have gone round on inspection during the examination. in the climax of the summer, the heat, these students have to be conditioned to put on masks and sit in classes without without fans. No wonder, since maths is a difficult subject, I would want to associate. I would want to associate the poor performance to that challenge. On a very serious note, I think they need to be commended. On that note, I would now hand over the mic to my colleague, DPS Adama Jimbajo, to moderate the question and answer session.
Thank you very much, DPS Sergeant. Good afternoon, colleagues from the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. Good afternoon, friends from the media houses. I mean, as already been alluded to, I suppose we all have seen what the presentations as far as the 2020 Gabese as grade 9 exams are all about. But I would like to reiterate this point, which was hammered by the peers, that the results presented exclude those whose results are withheld. The results that were presented exclude those whose results were or are withheld with the exams council. So if some of them, after the investigation, are found not wanting, it can even change the figures again, because some of them may come with better results. They have just been suspected. Until they are proven guilty, they're still a suspect. And we hope and pray that a good number of them will not be found wanting, and that will change the status quo of the results immediately. Now we want people to raise your hand, tell us the institution you are coming from, and ask your question. These are the senior management of MOPSI. The question can be answered by any of us. So it's not only meant for the PS or for the DPS, it's for all of us. So if you ask a question and Director Fatou answers it, it's the same as if PS Mendy answers it, because in MOPSI, we speak the same language. We are all at the same page, so whatever you get from Director Fatou is the same answer you have gotten from the PS. So can we start now, please? Where's the other mic, please? So you see empowerment of women, they will hijack mine before I start. No problem. Agreed. So please, can you stand up to tell us your name, which media house you're representing, and then your question, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Veronique Jai. I work for West Africa Democracy Radio. So my question is, looking at the systematic manner in which the maths grades have been going down year after year, as a ministry, how do you hope to curb this? Or what are the mechanisms you're trying to employ to ensure that this thing is curbed?
Thank you very much. That is a good question.
All right, can we take another, let's say we take 3 questions and then attempt to respond to them, so that we go.
Hello everyone, I am Ibrahim John from iAfrica TV. Going by the announcement made by Madame Poon, she read about 15 schools. That is from St. Teresa's to St. Peter's. And one thing I realized is that the majority of all these schools are either mission schools or private schools. I've realized all the 3 schools that produce aggregate 6, that is Ladekunda Saviji, Upper Basic, and Sukuta, as well as Bara. What is the reason behind all this? Does it mean that quality is not in government schools? And the other question is, we are not seeing reflection of aggregate 6 in other regions, like region 6, 4, 5. Majority of the aggregate 6 producers are within the Greater Banjul area, with the exception of Bar. I would want to know if this is right.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon. I go by the name Oliver Tupoka from the Standard newspaper. I want to know if you really want to describe this year's results, how will you describe it? Is it a good performance, or I want to know how will you describe it in the ministry?
Thank you very much. We have 3 questions.
Can I come in now?
No, let's answer them and come to you, please. Now, I will take the first question and pass the second and third to other people. The first question was talking about what strategies do we have to address the problem of mathematics. I mean, the mathematics is an international problem. It's not only unique to Gambia. But as you said, as a ministry, we, first of all, the first assignment that is given to the Directorate of Planning is to do a research work and find out what are the root causes of mathematics. Because if science is performing and we link mathematics to science, why is mathematics not equally doing the same? We will look into it through a study, but also there are interventions that we are doing in terms of CPDs, we call it continuous professional development. Equally, learning good practices from other institutions or schools that are performing. If, for example, St. Teresa's have 5 kids or students with aggregate 6, it implies that all those kids want mathematics. What is the secret behind? What methodology? What are the teachers doing that are not happening in other schools? So these are some of the things we already have discussed as a ministry and agree that we will definitely go into to find out the root causes and try to address them. But it's not a problem that you can solve overnight, because the problem could be far longer than. It could be from ECD right down to grade 9. So we need to trace all and see where we have to inject, and when we inject, we get it right. But definitely it's a concern, and we are working, and we will, inshallah, address it in due course. Then the other question, maybe I would allow my colleagues to talk about. Mr. Jay? Where's the other mic?
Well, thank you very much. I'm Momodu Jeng, Director of Science and Technology. I just want to reinforce the point made by DPS Joe, that as a ministry, when we looked at the results, the first thing we actually agreed was to do a proper analysis of the results and conduct a study so that we know what are the factors. Because if you want to address a problem, like you mentioned, it's a trend. But if you want to address those kind of problems, then you need to do a proper study and analyze the various factors. Is it a teacher factor? Is it related to material? Is it related to pedagogy? So these are issues that we will have to go and do a proper study and then come up with some interventions probably that would help to curb the issue of mathematics. But like the presenters mentioned to you, this is not peculiar to the Gambia. You know, it's a generic problem the world over, but I would rather specifically say the countries that are taking the way in West Africa, all of them have the same challenge with mathematics, but notwithstanding as a country, we want to really, you know, go down to basics and try to find out what are the main factors responsible and how we can curb it. I also want to link my response to the question asked, how would you want to describe the 2020 results? I would describe them as very good. You know, because I'm not just only looking at the percentage increase that is just presented to you, but I want to believe that we need to actually encourage our students who took all the risk, despite all the challenges that are presented to the sector this year by COVID, they were willing, they were ready, under high pressures to go back to school, to make all the efforts that they could and come up with this kind of results. I think the way we will evaluate learning is what value are we adding? And if you look at the results, you are already getting to see what value are we adding over the years. We have given you analysis of 2018, 2019, and 2020. And if you look at the analysis, except for mathematics, there is percentage increase in the performance of kids. And despite the challenges, and this is why I think our stakeholders, all of us, including the media, this is the time we should take to encourage those 4 kids. This is the time we should take to really celebrate, because rewarding their efforts will help a lot in motivating them to want to do more. And if they are able to take up the challenge and took the risk to go back to school and did their best as presented to you, as a country, we need to encourage them and to say to them, you have done very well, will make a big difference in the lives of those students.
Thank you very much. I want to respond to the question where we stated that most of the aggregate 6 are coming from private and grant aided, which is all right. But usually in analysis, we have what we call outliers. Outliers are numbers or scores that are outside the normal. Aggregate 6 is an outlier. But when you look at the percentage passes by region, and you look at, for example, region 4, which scored 61.6% of their students passing, which does not even have a private school, indicated the spread is higher in those regions than the outliers. So it's important that we look at the aggregate 6, but more so what we are concentrating on, the shift that we have in terms of percentage passes from 2018 to date are very significant with these upper regions that do not even have private schools. So as a sector, our concentration is more on how many children can we help to get passes than few outliers that we concentrate on. Sometimes when we are doing analysis, we concentrate more on outliers as they are business tools in management. You use them to sell your school, but probably that outlier's performance may influence even the average score of the school, and that is not realistic for that particular school. We appreciate what is being done in private schools, what is being done in, but look at schools like Bara here producing about 2 people with aggregate 6, which is significant, even though it's in the provinces. But when you look at region 3, as a region, they've scored 51.1% of their personnel, of the students that are candidates all passing, which is significant than those 2 people that we look at in Bara alone. So I think those are the issues around analysis that we need to share with people. In as much as we look at these outliers, it's important that we concentrate on the significant impact that we have on the sector than simply the outliers. We appreciated the outliers as a business tool, but we, as a sector, we are concentrating more on the general performance of students. Thank you very much.
Just to add up to that as well, as the analysis flows, I am Andrew Gomez, head of the Monitoring and Evaluation Unit. When you look at performance spreading all over the country, you will realize that there are strengths in students in different parts of the country. I will just draw your attention to the failure rate in mathematics, but calling your attention to performance in region 6 in mathematics. If you look at all the other regions, you realize that they have dropped in performance between 2019 and 2020. But see region 6,
moving by a 2.2 percentage point in mathematics, outstanding in the whole country. So that shows that not one region is only having the attention of the ministry as we may try to attribute to the aggregate 6. Yes, we agree that there may be disparities in terms of the availability of resources, and even the teachers as well, comparing the provincial regions and the western regions that we may call Region 1 and Region 2, where you have they have all the time to read, they have other facilities that other students in the provincial regions do not have. But you can see that Region 6 has performed the whole country in mathematics, which is something that needs to be noted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Andrew. Okay, Sedi.
Thank you very much. I want to just add my voice to, I'm Ibrahim Sedi, Director of Human Resources. I want to add my voice to Mr. Andrew and then the previous speakers, answering question number 2. Okay, when you look at the model of basic and secondary education, we are saying that every child in the Gambia should have a basic education. Every child has a right to education. A school is a better school when it is adding value to a student who came there with a poor result. Some schools, they screen students coming to their school. They have a screening exam for them, what we call entry exam. They have a cut-off mark for them, even though they excel with their counterparts from the previous school. But when they are coming to their school, they screen them and then take the grade students to enroll. To maintain them with that standard is very good. But if you have a school that is enrolling aggregate 54 or very poor results, and then they have taken those people from that end and they add value to that, I will consider that school better than the one that has taken the screen and maintaining them. So this is the answer to question number 2.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sedi. I think we can go to a second round of questions, please. Thank you very much. Do you have another question?
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Modu Bajan. I work with GRTS. My question also goes to the schools whose results are being retained. How collaborative are you with WAIC to make sure that they get their results so that they can go back to school when schools resume? We understand schools are reopening tomorrow or so. How soon can one expect that for them? And is it the whole school or just a fraction of students in these concerned schools?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Yunus Saliu. Already one of my questions has been answered because Ibrahim Jonas already asked that one. And the second one is what the two colleagues have just asked about the school that have the result withheld. Because you mentioned that we are having 13 schools result withheld. So if possible, you can tell us the criteria or what happened, why the school results were withheld, and 140 candidates also. So maybe those one, what they have done, maybe it's malpractice, but maybe we can know the exact type of malpractices they have undergone. And then the third question is that in science, we have 55.9% this year. What will you do, or what are you putting in place so that this figure will not go down, it will continue to increase? It will not be like the mathematics, because mathematics, when you look at it very well, in 2018, we are having 36.0%, and then it declined in 2019 to 35.8%. Why this year it goes down more to 26 point something? So like the science, which is something that people are really interested in sometimes, what you will do to make it continue going on? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. That gives us 3 people. Now, let me start with the first one and then open up again. Why are the results withheld? They are either suspected of cheating or collusion during the exam period. And how would they detect that as an examiner? If you are marking an envelope of 100 candidates, you realize that 50 of them have similar answers to a particular question, then that raises an eyebrow. And that's normally what happens. If that happens, why will constitute an investigation to try and establish whether there was cheating. But sometimes you as an examiner will know that there was cheating just by marking. Because 10 of us cannot have the same answer to a mathematical question. The same answer, the same wording, everything, something is wrong. That is what they will do. But like I said, they're still suspected. If they are able to establish it, there is a committee that will decide by WAEC whether the results will be cancelled or not. Depending on the gravity, they will advise that the results be cancelled. And that particular, or those subjects, they will put X for them. If there are more than 1 or 2, 3, very common, the ministry a few years ago took a stand that a school of that nature risks being de-recognized. And what we mean there is, for example, if it is Latrikunda, your students will attend Latrikunda, but when it is time for registration for exam, they go and register with St. Teresa's. You, the school, will pay for all the logistics to supervise the exams over there. And school heads are aware of that, and they are very much careful about that. But so those are some of the issues. What will happen, as I said, the results can be cancelled totally. For example, if it is English language, all the students who are found, it may not be the whole school, it could be a class. You know, when they're writing the exam, it's 25 in a class. So it could be that 25. It could be more than it. But in most cases, if it is established, that particular subject is cancelled. If, for example, in a school, you realize that out of the 7 subjects, 5 of them they were cheating, they will cancel the exams for the whole school. Because they have the right to do that. In consultation with the permanent secretary. But schools have been warned continuously. In the Gambia, it's not much. If you go to big countries, it's serious. Mass cheating. And we have been trying to discourage our students and teachers towards that. I mean, do what you can. It's better than trying to cheat. Because as of now, those students, even if they have 1 in English, 1 in mathematics, 1 in science, but because your SES, you are found cheating, your resources will help. Until that is released, you cannot go and look for a school. And it can go up to end of October before they should come out with whatever decision they're taking. The decision is not going to be taken unilaterally. A committee is set who is going to investigate it. They can invite the students, they can invite the teachers who are supervising the exams to question them, they can invite experts to look at the answers and see whether definitely they can deduce something. But like I said, any good examiner, you start marking, if there's cheating, you would know. So let us move to the other question, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Can I add to the answer? And I think there is an examination committee at WAEC. Okay, my name is Tirajata Jaju, the Director for Basic and Secondary Education Programs. There is just to add on to what DPS said, there is an examination committee at WAEC. And that examination committee is the final decision-making body when it comes to collusion, when it comes to any kind of examination malpractice. And that committee is being chaired by the permanent secretary. And the committee is there for the welfare of the candidates, but also to make sure that we adhere to the rules and regulations of exams. And most of the time, this examination malpractice comes as a result of collusion, as the DPS said, but also bringing foreign material into the hall. You understand? And when any student or a group of students are caught, they are asked to write a statement why we are caught. They write a statement and sign. And when they write a statement and sign, that statement, together with their examination paper, and also any foreign material found with them, will be put together and be forwarded to the examination committee. And that examination committee has a final say. When they meet, if it is collusion, that is all of them, as the DPS said, all of them, producing the same answer. The examination committee will look at each script one by one to make sure that we are fair to the candidates. And if the examination committee look at the scripts and found out that there is collusion, that's the time that subject is cancelled. But bringing a mobile phone into the hall, your whole results, as the DPS said, even if you are one in all the results, is cancelled. This is the law set up by WAEC, and it has been signed by all WAEC member countries. I think it's important for us to hear that. We are there. The permanent secretary chairs the examination committee, but there are also staff of the ministry, together with the GAMCOP, that is the Gambia Conference of Principal Chairpersons for the upper basic and the senior secondary school, and also the president of ALBAS, that is the Association of Lower Basic School Educators. So we don't joke with this. And we know that if any exam result is cancelled, there is all the reasons there for those results to be cancelled. I also just want to us to remind us something. We gave you percentages, but when we talk about the absolute figures, we're talking about the examination results, you will see that there is marked improvement. These are percentages, and we are talking about 23,000 children. So even 1% of 23,000, just imagine how many thousand is that. So I think it's important for us to bear that in mind. And one important thing I was discussing with my colleague when you talk about, somebody asked why the mission schools are doing well. The mission schools are part of our schools, because the Gambia government, the permanent secretary subvents the mission schools. It's from the national treasury. That's the school teachers are, thank you, paid. The same as our public school teachers. So they are the teachers, and they are paid the same amount of money. And all the injections to education are being done to the mission schools as well as the public schools. They are one and the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Fida.
Thank you very much. I am Usman Ba, Regional Director, Region 1. Thank you very much. I want to respond to a question about mathematics. Somebody asked a question that over the years, the results for mathematics has been coming down, and what has the ministry done? Because we are talking about doing research, doing this and that this year. But consistently, the results have been coming down. But I want to us to go back a little bit. For this year, the results has come down unprecedented. But when you compare 2018 and 2019, you see there is marked improvement from 2018 to 2019. A lot of interventions has been done in terms of mathematics, actually, over the years. We have introduced strategies like the measure mass was introduced to help ameliorate the teaching of mathematics in schools. Other interventions has also been made. But the issue is it has been fluctuating down, up and down, up and down. But for this year, it's unprecedented naturally. And that's the reason why we said we are going to study to find out why the unprecedented drop in the performance of mathematics in our school. It's not only in grade 9. This starts from the ground, from the low level. When we are correcting a system, we have to start from the ground. We know that mathematics is a challenge from the ECD level going upward. And grade 9 is a culmination of what you learn from ECD to grade 9. So if we have a problem anywhere, it reflects. So we are going to look at it systematically and try to correct it. That's what we are saying. It has been there, and it continues to be there, not only in the Gambia as said, but our concern is the Gambia. And we are going to do something. In fact, this year is the problem, as I said. Last year it was a problem, but this year is more of a problem than last year. When we have 30-something%, this year we are dropping to some schools, some regions 20%, nationally 20-something%. It's a big drop. We don't want to attribute everything to the COVID, but we know that we have problems, and we are going to look at the problems squarely. Somebody also asked a question about how we are going to sustain the results we have in science. We performed last year, year before last year we performed, this year also we performed. How are we going to sustain these things? And that's the reason why we are here. That's the reason why the ministry is working. We want to improve the results. We want to improve the performance. And that's what we are working on. That's why we are challenging ourselves to say the performance in mathematics is not good. Let's employ strategies to be able to improve it. So in the same vein, we want to sustain the gains that we have. We don't want to go down anymore. We are challenged, and we are going to do that. We are going to put all our resources so that we will improve. Because for us, in fact, these results are not what we desire. We want to have 80%, 90%, 100%. It's not possible to have that, but that is the desired results. We don't want any child to be left out. But under the circumstance, we want to improve on what we have and what we are doing. Thank you very much.
Quickly, I just want to another thing. Yes, before your question. The question will come on the other set of questions. But just quickly, on the issue of mathematics, like my colleague director has said, we will all agree that generally we have a conceptual issue. As a country, as a people, even as a region. Like he has said, even if some of you can find out, check amongst the other member states, you will be surprised to see the kind of performance in mathematics. What we are trying to do, like we have said, is to devise ways of encouraging and catching them when they are young. While they are growing at tender age, when in grade 2, grade 3, you bring in additional teaching aids to help the students. I'm sure you recall that in the past, most people have concentrated in giving prize to science, giving prize to even spellings and others. We want to challenge every Gambian, starting from you. There is something you can do. What can you do to encourage the young ones so that they have the liking for the mathematics, the love for mathematics, so that by the time they get to grade 9, they will be genius. They will be able to have the scientists all over. But we working on it as a sector. We are not relenting. We do understand that it is a challenge, and that's why we've admitted, and we are committed to working out to see what comes next year in the process. It's an all-inclusive. In the sciences, both science, both mathematics, engineering, and so on. We want to help the young ones really to regain there. On the issue of exams, yes, we agreed there are some schools, their results are withheld, but it's for many reasons. My colleague has said some of them bring mobiles to examination, and when they are caught, they say, oh, I forgot and I brought it. Some are even found to be writing on their tries to be All those are things that are told to the students and even to administrators. They are must not do. These are things we must not do. But if you do them, the examination work is tasked by government to validate what we do as a ministry. And in that validation process, if they find students that are acting otherwise, they will withhold their results until they are cleared. If they are cleared, the results will be released. If they are not, then they will have to forfeit the result. Those are the rules of the game, and we'll encourage everyone to abide by those rules. I wanted to make that clear, because everybody, before you go into that, your school, you would have been told, don't do this, don't do that. But still, students will deliberately take mobiles. Even inside the classroom, they'll be texting each other. We have seen all of that happening. And that's why we want to really discourage people from that. Thank you. Next set of questions. Oh, sorry. My colleague there wants to answer.
I think there is one more to respond to, and I think it is about what message to the students. I want to task the media houses that are here to go tell these students they can do it. Let's not vilify them. Let's tell them that they can do it. That way, we think they can do it, and we are ready as a country to do everything humanly possible to help them do it. They can do it.
That sign of yours is not encouraging. We are here to disseminate information. If you are rejecting of information, how can you disseminate it in the first place? I'm sure you understand also.
Can I come in?
Question, yes, next set of questions.
All right, greetings to everybody. I am Sidou Sane from St. Bian's VIP Magazine and TV. With the past read, when you look at all the core subjects, every year from 2018 to 2020, SES has been the dominant subject. When you look at the candidate also by gender, it differs. In other years, men and boys or female will dominate, or in other years, males will dominate. When you look at the by region also, there are slight changes in regions. But as for the subject, SES has been the dominant in each and every year. Why do you think SES has been the dominant when it comes to the overall performance? The other question is, I have two questions. When you look at the level of preparedness in the private schools and mission schools, are higher than the level of preparedness to the public schools. What is ministry doing to make sure that at least the public school also would have a higher rate of preparedness for the KBS examinations?
Thank you. Any other question? Okay.
Yeah, it's on. All right, thank you very much. My name is Buba Gajigo from Kerr, Fatou. So my first question actually is, it will go back to mathematics. Well, we understand, as the Deputy PS say, is of course a global problem. You understand that. I believe the ministry will not be waiting for other countries to solve their problems. Last year it was the same thing. The ministry said there are mechanisms that will be put in place so that the problem will be solved. So we want to know exactly what are the things that were put in place by the ministry to see to it that definitely the problem of this maths is definitely not a problem of the students in the country. What are you people trying to work with the Gambia College to see to it that the way they recruit people there so that the foundation will be okay, those who are with the ECD and the primary school. So this one goes to the PS. I know you inherited a system actually. So we have what we call the CCM. If the CCM is working for you, how are they working? If they are not working, are there any plans to dissolve the CCM?
Thank you very much. I think when we come to answer that question, we will not allow the PS to answer it because PS has not yet witnessed CCM yet.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, it's Ibrahim John once again. I'm from iAfrica TV. Now, in Mr. Jere Sanyang's speech, he made mention of moving students to the next grade. Now, my question is, will that not, overstretch teachers? Because they have to work from Monday to Saturday. And is there any compensation to be given to teachers working from Monday to Saturday? Or maybe the provision of risk allowance because they are working during the pandemic. And finally, there is a new COVID-19 timetable in schools. And a lot of teachers will be forced, will be compelled to work in double shifting. What will be the stance of the ministry to prevent chaos in schools? Maybe if a case comes where a teacher doesn't want to partake in double shifting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Let me just quickly respond to you, the two questions you asked. I know you asked this question in many ways. But let me start by saying moving from one level to another has nothing to do with load. Even if there was no COVID at all, people would have sat to the grade 9 and they will move to grade 10 and the teachers would have to be there to teach them. That has nothing to do with load. What has to do with load is the number of students in a class. That's what will propel additional students. Apart from that, the movement to levels has nothing to do with that. On the issue of what do we have to contain or manage the students, teachers teaching from Monday to Saturday. I don't know how much you know about the model, but it's not a one-size-fits-all. There are people who would not necessarily teach from Monday to Friday. They will have the luxury to go to school from Monday to Friday, not to Saturday. No, it does not apply. I'll give you an example. I'm aware of a school that has a population less than 100. A whole school, less than 100. What would warrant such a school to teach from Monday to Saturday? So it's not a one-size-all for the schools. There are specific schools, and they have specific models that fit or that they should use to be able to deliver lessons. What we are trying to do is to ensure that students do not lose lessons. We'll all agree they start from March to now. They have lost a lot of lessons. We need to ensure that they continue, and we also try to recover that lost. How do we do it? It is a collective responsibility. It will require extra sacrifice. And that's what we are calling everybody to do. Our teachers, ourselves, we are all in dialogue, we are all in this together. And we'll see what could be done for them. CCM, briefly, then, okay.
Okay, thank you very much, P.S. I mean, just to buttress your point, this issue of teachers teaching in the, in Region 1 particularly, and Fatou region, we have this problem of teachers operating in more than one school. And mostly those are going to be the very ones who will be complaining about this. But double shift is an entitlement. Anybody who operates double shift is paid. But they will say, I don't want the double shift because they want to go to another school and get another salary, which is unacceptable, it's illegal. We have been telling teachers this over and over again. You cannot have two appointments, permanent appointments at the same time. It's not proper. And teachers are doing it. This is illegal. Now to move to the CCM, I think it will be very unfair to ask P.S. Mendy about CCM. He has not yet witnessed any. He came at a time when we were not holding CCM. CCM is another monitoring tool of the ministry. It's another monitoring tool of the ministry, and we use it to get other stakeholders who are not within the mainstream ministry to come and see what is happening and tell us where we are doing well or where we need to buckle up. That's the objective of CCM. And we, as a sector, I can proudly say we are the only sector doing it in this country. We are brave enough to say, outsiders, come and tell us what we are doing right and what we are not doing wrong, what we are not doing right. It's only Mopsy that's doing that. And we invite any of you to come and join us at CCM and see what is happening. It's a forum whereby we don't look at the PS, we don't look at the minister, the honorable minister. If the problem is to address by the office of the PS, we'll talk to him and say, sir, it's your problem. If it is to do with the classroom teacher, we'll tell him it's your problem. If it is the regional office, we'll tell them it's your problem. If it is the head teachers, we'll tell them it's your problem. It's a forum where we wash our dirty linen, but we don't put it to the public. We wash it there, dry it there, and pack them and come back.
Now, the point here is that the point that I want to put is the CCM, yes, there is a body, there are body that are involved in definitely monitoring teachers. Now, you look at most of these school teachers will tell you we know.
Monitoring the system.
No, monitoring the system. All right, fine, no problem. Then the system include the teachers, right? So this is what I'm saying. Most of the schools, they will tell you that we know that CCM is coming next week, Monday. So they will prepare before CCM is there. Do you think then, what is the essence of the job?
Maybe you are getting it wrong too.
Not getting it wrong.
There are people, no matter how much you know the system, I think I will know the system better than you. Because I start from a classroom teacher, unqualified, to where I am.
Is it part of their job?
Okay,
okay, this one.
The CCM is a mechanism put in place to monitor the system. As much as when we started CCM, I could remember my son, who is currently in university, was telling me, father, who is CCM? Because in our school, everybody is talking about CCM is coming. People were scared of CCM those days. Nowadays, people are praying for CCM to visit you, because that is where your problems come out at the school. We have gone to schools who do not have toilets in the school. When they report, we send a hard down, we collect money and build them. Institutions will offer them to say we will do it for them. People have been promoted on CCM. A teacher is found doing very well, recommendation is made there, he or she is promoted.
Now, PS, I understand what you're saying. Now, but people are also demoted through CCM, right?
Yes.
They are also demoted. Yes. This is what I'm saying. Now, if you know that you are not, if the question is, if you know that if they found you not prepared, you'll be demoted. And you already know that these people are coming next week, Monday, for example. What are you going to do?
Now, what I'm saying is, when we say demotion, it's not a matter of saying they are demoted. If you have found one thing, we will ask you to solve that problem and report to the office of the permanent secretary. If it is solved, we let it go. People must be accountable for their actions. You cannot be a classroom teacher who does not prepare lesson notes, who does not prepare a scheme of work, and say you are a good teacher. Those are solved the problem.
We need to understand what CCM is. It's part of the structural arrangement of the ministry. The highest decision-making body of the ministry is the SMT, which is the senior management team, which comprises the directors, the permanent secretary, the deputy permanent secretaries, and the ministry. Then the next level of, the next structure that we had is the coordinating committee, which is the CCM. That comprises the PEOs added onto the SMT. The PEOs are the program implementers. They are the people who implement programs in the ministry. CCM is a system checker to see whether our system is working. When you look at CCM going to a region, CCM visits only 18 schools. A region that has over 200 schools, visiting 18 does not tell you that you have visited every teacher, every school in that particular region. But it gives us an idea of what prevails in a particular region for us to sit as admin and solve the generic problems that we have in a system. So CCM is not about the individual teacher that you found. The issues that are coming are usually looked at so that the system that we are using what we call a sample system of 18 schools. Then we'll go back and look at the findings in those schools and generalize it for the particular region. So it's about system checker. It's not about any individual or any individual teacher. It's not even about a school. It's about a region that we want to have a collective idea about. So that's the reason why we are going for CCM. And all the programs that we are learning in the ministry, the efforts that we are doing, the gains that we are getting from the regions, from the program directors are also reported at CCM so that we are at the same level. Everybody would know what is happening. Our permanent secretary would be on top of issues because he cannot go to every region, he cannot go to every directorate, he cannot know by himself everything, but he can stand and say, this is what we are gaining as a sector. So it's a sector assessment tool or a system than individual schools. I just want to make this clear because most people do not understand the essence of CCM, and probably they would see it as individual schools. Yes, an individual school may prepare physically to beautify the school, but the tools that they are using over the period, they cannot change those ones. You will eventually find that their financial data is in place, their monitoring data are in place. The time that we went for monitoring, they went for monitoring and everything. Their lesson plans are in place. Every other thing, those things cannot be easily forged. They cannot be easily forged. Yes, the outside structure, you can beautify your school, you can make everything beautiful for us, but eventually what we look at, when you look at the minimum standard, the things that are in the minimum standard are beyond that beautiful out of feature that you are seeing. So that's what the CCM is. We are sharing this so that you understand what CCM is about rather than individual schools or individuals in the system. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think Fatou has but there was this question on the SES dominance of group performance which has not been touched, and again the issue of mathematics coming up again as a question. Basically, starting with mathematics. If you take a random survey here and ask in this room, how many of us got, let's say, aggregate 6 in mathematics? If you ask, yes, grade 6 in mathematics. If we say show by hand, no. Yes, let's say, yes. How many of us got 6 in mathematics? Was 6. Be honest, between you and the God you worship. 6. Yes. Yes. We will come to that. We'll come to that. Just a minute. You realize that after grade 12, most of the students who score 1, 2, 3, 4 in mathematics do not opt for Gambia College, most of them. You have those with marginal pass in mathematics to be recruited to the Gambia College to come and teach mathematics. So we need to understand that the problem of mathematics is becoming hereditary in our system, in our country. Those who understand the mathematics skills to teach the students very well for them to score a 1 or a 2 that we're expecting are out of the education system. They are looking for greener pastures, which is obvious, all right? Right now, at the Gambia College or the University of the Gambia, if somebody applies to study mathematics, you have a scholarship straight away. That's encouraging. But these are the people you will train. Eventually, after completing university, they don't come back to teach. You cannot hold them to the classroom. So these are the things we need to know, that the sector is doing their utmost to ensure that there is a change. Again, the phobia in mathematics demands the contribution of each and every one of us. Students are already sleeping and waking up with the mentality that mathematics is difficult. I cannot pass. The moment you fail yourself, you have already failed. Because no matter what effort is being done to alleviate you, it's just going to alleviate you a little. Already you have failed yourself. So these are some of the things that are mitigating against the performance in mathematics. I taught mathematics for 15 years, all right? So most of the things that we talk about, we need to know why they are happening in the schools. Because no matter what amount of encouragement you give to the students, how would you feel if you are walking into a mathematics class and half of the class is moving out? What will they learn? How do you expect them to pass? They will not pass because already they don't have the interest. That is what we need to build in the students, and then that is what the ministry is also striving to do. Get the teachers, encourage the teachers, build the capacity of those teachers in all the topics that they need to deliver very well on for students to understand, and then also encourage the students to fully take part and concentrate in mathematics lessons so that the results that we are yearning for, like in the SES dominance, we will be able to see them over the years. It's not going to be 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. It's going to take us time to do it because we need to rebuild a whole system, which includes attitudinal change. There is nothing more difficult than changing the attitude of a human being because it's conceptual. They have the concept. So this is the contribution of everybody that we all need to work towards, and then that change will come. But if we as a ministry would be pressed by maybe you to say, yes, we're expecting results to change by next year, it will just be pretending. Let's face the reality and work towards it. It's going to take us time, as in other countries, for us to achieve what we desire to change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Maybe one last thought to say about this mathematics issue. It's not that the ministry is not doing anything about it. We want to let the audience understand that the ministry has in fact started piloting progressive mathematics initiatives in some schools, using technology to facilitate the teaching of mathematics so that the issue that my colleague here mentioned about people believing that mathematics is difficult is changed. How do you change that? The pedagogy has to change. And in the pedagogy that is being utilized in the PMI's initiative is what you call the constructive approach to teaching of mathematics. But because it is technology-supported initiative and it was only piloted in 24 schools, we have not been able to scale that up to cover all the UBS and SSS schools. And in fact, this particular year, that initiative suffered in terms of the equipment that were procured and needed to be in the schools are still, as we talk, are still in Japan. You do not have the overhead projectors, the interactive whiteboards, and the other devices that are needed in that program to facilitate teaching and learning. But when this was initiated in 2012, progressively each year in the pilot schools, the percentage increment in terms of students getting either aggregate 6, aggregate 8, and aggregate was each year increasing rapidly. And that was why the partners who were supporting that program were committed to continuing to support the program. But because we procured the material and the COVID lockdown came and we could not get the materials into the schools, for almost a year and a half, that program has been suspended. Just to let you know that there is effort to try to address the issue of teaching of mathematics in the schools. And just last year as well, before, the last academic year, before the schools went into this lockdown, there was this initiative to start looking at early numeracy. Because like the PS mentioned here, you have to look at the continuum. Probably what you are experiencing right now in grade 9 could have been a problem right from foundation. Have these children gotten the appreciation and the basic skills in numeracy at lower or even at ECD level? If no, then you will not be surprised that they will find this subject challenging all throughout their schooling. That was why last year we started a program that was targeting building the early literacy skills of teachers, ECD and grade 1 to 3 teachers. But that only started in Region 1. We could not roll out to other regions. And the school closures, as we all know, was what affected that program. But just to tell you that the analysis we talked about here is to understudy all this intervention and all these challenges and how do we build on that. I just want to let you know that the ministry is not just saying, yes, we will do something, and after the session here, no, efforts are on the way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. I think we will take 2 more questions now, and then we wrap up because it's getting to 5 o'clock now. So can we have those who are yet to ask questions? Because the 2 of you, I have seen you ask questions. Just don't hold on. If you do not have any, then we can fall back to you. Okay, go ahead. Thank you very much. As Mr. Jack alluded to, we know most of the problems you are talking about. And before you came, we met and agreed. The problem could be from the home, it could be the individual, it could be the teacher, it could be the management, it could be a whole lot of problems. But we are looking into all of it. I totally agree with you. I dropped physics in high school because of the same attitude. And so many people have similar examples they can give you. I left French because of the same thing. So that is very common. Yes, Ma. Okay. Thank you, but maybe I will just refer you to our policy. We have 9 years uninterrupted basic education. That is from grade 1 to 9, people have to move. We only repeat people when it is very necessary. Absolutely. That is, every year we're looking about around 4% of the student population for every class. But if not, we will. We are aware of what he's saying, and that is what the PS was explaining, that we will not only open school, but we are thinking of having catch-up lessons to catch up what we have lost. And that is why the issue which he cited, he said it's not for every school. It's not one size fit all. Some schools will not double shift. They don't need double shifting. They will operate Monday to Friday. Some school is only double shifting that will solve their problem. Some school alternate days will solve their problems. But it's not much. I think it's about 23 schools will be talking about alternating days. 23 schools. Out of the 309 schools, 3,009 schools, only 23 will be alternating. Others will double shift. So, please, be assured that it's going to be fine, inshallah.
Thing.
Yes, one thing.
No, I mean, I think the last query there was crucial that we discuss it a bit, which is what do we do to catch up learning loss, especially curriculum coverage. We are aware of this, but this is why the accelerated learning program that the ministry is putting in place and trying to use extended learning opportunities. Look, I think from here, all of us, I will appeal to the media house to turn up to be teachers, because honestly, the COVID was a catch-up, caught the Gambian society unaware. And some of the assumptions that we were making as a sector, that back at home, kids are either supervised or supported by their parents and caregivers, we had seen that assumption over the years was wrong. Because when we delivered the distant learning, all we required caregivers and parents to do was at least create time for your learners, your kids at home, to listen to these programs or to watch these lessons. These lessons are lessons that are based on the curriculum and delivered by teachers. Therefore, at home, if parents, those who cared, did that, and we saw how this impacted on their kids. But as the thing is, we have to advocate for this. You only have the kids at school from 8 to 2. The rest of the 24 hours, the kids are at home in their communities. What are they doing? They are under care of either the caregivers or the parents. How are they being supervised? This is lacking, and we have to advocate for that. The extended learning opportunities that we will create, definitely we will want the support of the general public in that. So that if the kids interact at a school level and they are given extended work to do at home, the parents should play their role to ensure that time is created for the kids to do this assigned homework, and they are supervised and they are assisted anyhow they can be. So that this catch-up program that we are advocating, we will do our best to provide lessons continually on TV and continually on radio. And the plans are even to install in some of the schools, TV sets, so that kids who are not technically in class interacting with their teachers can go to an assigned room where they can watch a lesson. If they have a challenge in a lesson in mathematics or in science, it will be scheduled such that they will have time to access those lessons. Lessons will also be delivered online so that kids can always have chance to repeatedly look at those lessons as a revision for them. But we need the support and the collaboration of the general public, especially the parents. And I'm tasking you again, the media house, to try to challenge the general public to take up that responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jang. Thank you, our brothers and sisters from the media fraternity. I think we will now come to the closing session. I hope we have answered your questions adequately. Where we failed to, our apology, but our objective was to make sure that everybody leave this out, with a clear mind as to what you think you wanted to know or you wanted to be convinced on. But like I said, our objective is to tell you what we are doing. Sometimes we are not here to convince people, but to tell you exactly what we are doing. Because when you understand what we are doing, that's the time you go and value and see it properly. And I want to record this. Our doors are open as a ministry. Any of you, at any time, any point, you want some clarification, fall back to this team. Come to the office, come to the regional office, come to any directorate. Any question you want to know about the ministry, we will. We don't want, I think we have gone beyond the issue, that level of working on speculations. I thought, no. Come and get the data. We are always ready to give you accurate information as to what we are doing as a ministry. So I would now call on the permanent secretary, or do I return the chair back to the chairperson, please?
Thank you for remembering that the chair doesn't belong to you and for returning it. I want to thank you very much for ably moderating the question and answer session. And just as you said, we are always ready to clarify. I refer to the media fraternity as our best friends. You are always there for us. We remember when it was very tough, when COVID came, you appeared and also gave us concessions that were barely at break-even prices. So we want to thank you very much. As my colleague from the Directorate of Science and Technology has said, we've started an initiative that we want to continue. Distance learning is now here to stay, and we will always need you. I don't want to steal the show from my permanent secretary in the his closing remarks, but I also want to join my colleague DPS to reassure you that our doors are open. As the media, you can come in anytime. We've invited several media houses at CCM to come and see how we conduct it. My colleagues did clarify what it means. It's a monitoring tool. Yes, there will be some beautification in the school. The grounds will be clean. But as educationists, as specialists in the field of education, we know what we are looking for. And that information can never be cooked. How many times, for instance, my minister goes to a region? It's recorded. How many times my permanent secretary goes to a region? Is recorded. That cannot be changed just within a day to impress CCM. How many times the cluster monitors go? And when they go, what they do? The classroom monitoring tool, how effective it is it used in everyday life? The register, the nurse results, and so on and so on and so on. That cannot be cooked, within a day. So CCM is there, and I think it's a monitoring tool that other sectors are even trying to emulate. So I want to thank you very much for your attention, and I will now hand over to the permanent secretary for his closing remarks. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my colleague DPS, my colleague directors. I'm not going to do the closing remarks. I have the honor and the pleasure to give it to a colleague, and it is for a reason. We are here to celebrate our grade 9s but more importantly, our female students. I'm sure you saw the good results they have produced for us. But before I hand over to my colleague to do the thank you, I just want to reinforce one or 2 points that have been said. For your information, our grade 6 do not sit to exams. They don't. By our policy, grade 6 don't sit to exams. It's grade 3, grade 5, grade 8 that do the NAT. And then the Gabeke, which is organized by WEG and the WAS. So they are not required to do that. But I just want to mention here that I have the pleasure and honor to tell you that the cutoff mark for government this year to proceed to grade 10 is aggregate 42. Aggregate 42. Government exists because of the populace, because of the ordinary citizen. That is why government exists. Government does not exist for the privileged or the privileged few. No, it exists for the ordinary citizen. That's why even in times of employment, in times of provisions of services, that's what they exist for. So the cutoff mark is 42 for government to proceed to grade 10. I just want to make that clear before I hand over to my colleague to do the closing remarks. On that note, I want to again appreciate all of you and wish you well.
Thank you, PS, for giving me the floor. This shows the gender sensitiveness of the Minister for Basic and Secondary Education. I think this is a bravo to the ministry. Yes, when it comes to empowerment of girls and women, we are number one. I think I just start from where the permanent secretary ended. It's off. Okay, so is it on now? Yeah, thank you. I think I would just start from where the permanent secretary ended, and that is, yes, government doesn't operate for the privileged few. We say the top 2%. I think government works for the 98% of the country. And yes, I think we showed you, as my colleague said, the best, but we also have people that did very well. We have children, we have candidates who got 6 credits, going to grade 10, doing their sciences, or any other course they want to do. We have candidates who have 7 credits. We have also candidates who have 5 credits. So I think it's important for us to know that generally, with the new normal we found ourselves, because I normally call it the new normal. The new normal we find ourselves, the children did extremely well. And I think it's important for us to congratulate them. And I think it's also important for all the media houses to start with this word in your tomorrow's papers, especially the newspapers. Congratulations. I think you have to start with those congratulations to the children who beat all the odds when it comes to the COVID. As our colleagues will say, most of us were at home, but these children went to school. I could remember my permanent secretary saying, somebody called him and said, I will take you to court if anything happens to my child. Just imagine. And we were able to risk everything, make sure that we went to the length and breadth of the country. Everybody in this table went, in one time or the other, to make sure that everything is in place, the children have marks, schools are fumigated, so that at least they will find a conducive environment for them to at least get 2-3 weeks and also do their exams. And definitely they didn't disappoint. Just to add the SES bit, SES has to do with our culture, social and environmental studies. It has to do with what? Our environment. It's just like Islamic education and also Bible knowledge. So obviously children will definitely do well in this because they do it with their everyday lives. I just want to add up to that. I think it's important for us to know. So if they don't do well in social and environmental studies, then we have to ask ourselves the question, why are they not doing well? So I want to thank you. And I also want us to celebrate, to pray, so that we will celebrate something like this when the WAS results are out. Because you know that the children, our candidates too, did the WAS, and the results are not yet out. So we hope that we will be happy or happier if the WAS results are out, because they also took the exam, you know, in this new normal, and we know what this new normal is for all of us. So thank you very much to the media houses. As the other speaker said, you've been there for us since day one. You've also been, risking everything from day one when it was hot. You were there for us. Thank you for coming, and thank you for bombarding us with the questions. Ladies, hello. Yes, thank you for, I wish you all the best. I wish you will do well. Yes, thank you for bombarding them with the questions, and I repeat 3 times that we answered the questions to your satisfaction. Safe journey back home. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
Love like fire. Wow. Love like fire. Xam ngeen rek affaire bi xam ngeen fan la? Skincare la. 2020 lañ wax de. Waaw. Fii nag mooy Kerr fan, Kerr zero tache. Perfect skin. Skincare saa su ne rek niñ ko dee defee rek. Loo lañ soxlaati rek. Maanaam bu ngeen am problème ci seen skin, yéen xam ngeen fan la. Fii ngeen di ñëw. Suma xarit yeeg am di jàmm yi nga xam ne taas daf lañ sonaloon, xam nga doon xeesal bel la ka xum. Éneew ma lañ ko nag waaye just in case comme ni ko gars yi di waxee rek en cas just in case loolu xew xam ngeen fi ngeen di ñëw Skincare Plus si yu baax rek la ñoo dox nag ay baax rek fu ne la ñoo dem ci réew mi di lañ indi rek nag products yu baax du Paris du Italie du USA du fi mu nekk nii sax boole nañ ci nag Sweden fu nekk lañ leen a indilee products bu dee tamit nag da nga ñuul rek ñu lay jamaa natural beauty that melanin dripping we do have stuff for you as well. Emuñ si skincare products rek ñu ngi ci cuub yi tamit fu ne la ñoo jaar in fact sax last commercial bi ñu defoon waxuñ leen woon ne dañoo dox ci ay kawar 9A grade rek nag waaw. We do have bundles as well hair si lu ne la ñoo dox ñun ñu ngi ci rafetal jigéen rek luy taaral jigéen rek waaw. boo leen di tukki tamit bëggoon rek classic suitcase ñu dañoo dox ci ay Samsonite duñ dee indi any brand of suitcases though other than Samsonite comme li ma dee wax rek boo eggee airport dëri Samsonite dafa am nuñ laa xoolee waaw. ngeen ne lan nag waaw skin ci moom la ñu gën a xamee nag skincare products ci moom la ñu gën a xamee ñu ngi dox tamit benn tey tamit si ay dàlla man waaye man nag skincare mooy suma specialty xam nga rek jigéen bu sa xar kanam réglé loo def mu jag am nañ Patricia Reiner Kiwi Eye the whole range Lighten Up Gold Tomatine I mean the list can just go on and on and on and on lépp loo xam ne rek luy taaral jigéen la ci yooyu rek la ñoo dox Skincare Plus nag emuñ si Gambia rek ñu ngi United States ñu ngi Gambia fii ba pare bu dee yaa ngi anywhere in Europe mun nañ la ko mail within 3 days rek ñetti fan rek nga jot say diw emuñ si loolu rek dañ laa consult tamit balaa ñu laa jaay diw dinañ def a free consultation pour wax la rek exactly li nga xam ne moo méngoo ak sa kanam dinañ leen wax tamit ne rek am nañ perfumes fragrances men's shirts accessories we do dresses as well we do blouses I mean we do shoes name it we do them Skincare Plus 2020 is our year of perfection zero task fi mu nekk nii réew mi fii kenn waratu fi task kenn waratu fi am problème kanam kenn waratu fi am problème yu picca boo ko amee dafa fekk ne rek ñëwuloo ci place bi fii. Love like
No, ini bara. Welcome. Basically, lots of lala me along is cool, man. That I can really relax. What the madam? Yeah, that's. What the madam? Yeah. Let them do somebody. That's fine. Grand Villa. That's fine. Slowly. Yes. No. Yeah, actually, a lot of people are basically me alone because they relax. So it's okay, so I can understand.
Nina Fanny say what? Nidia, Nena Grand Villa is the best guest house in the Gambia.
Beji and the Grand Villa Guest House. Na labung will be senioring, adum, na bung will be nyarandiring coming ibela fila ila suwe taranyame. Until Grand Villa, na kiliano la lafino wale mukamutin telkang. Na ye sabati Grand Villa, yela kodo na fa kalamuta.
Oh man, this is like a paradise.
I know.
I so much love this place.
Thank you.
Trust me, I love this place.
You can move somebody and you're watching what?
Yeah.
And you know Gambia. Grand Villa.
I tell you. I love this place. Okay.
Yes.
I love this place, man. Oh yeah.
Ni lefta na kuo keso sotola. Futama Oljuntum Paradise Estate. Mbaya kumandiroke 7527-218. Wale futana website auto www.grandvillaguesthouse.com. Grand Villa Guest House.
Miss V Designer Outlet is the #1 quality and affordable stop shop for all your needs. Get your evening dresses, suit and ties, office wears for both ladies and gentlemen, beachwears, sportwears, pure leather shoes for men, quality belts, bags, heels for all beautiful ladies, original perfumes, accessories, and a lot more. Find us at Kololini Road opposite Gaddafi Mosque at the Aqua Bridge Station, or call us on 295-3411. or 764-2486. Miss B Designer Outlet. Shop right, look good.